Most people pray for an easier life. That is why most people never become stronger. Every setback you face, every rejection you survive, every difficult season you endure is shaping a version of you that comfort never could. Hard times are not destroying you. They are revealing you. They expose your habits, your beliefs, your discipline, and your character. The question is not whether life will become difficult. It will. The question is who you become when it does. This audiobook is about transforming adversity into your greatest advantage. Because the strongest minds are never born. They are built. Chapter 1. Stop asking. Why me? There comes a moment in every difficult season when your mind asks a dangerous question. Why me? Why is this happening? Why does everyone else seem to have an easier life? It feels like a natural question. It feels justified. But it is also one of the most destructive questions you can ask. Not because your pain isn't real, not because your struggle doesn't matter, but because the question itself gives away your power. Every minute you spend asking why life is unfair is another minute you're not becoming stronger. You have a choice. You can spend your energy arguing with reality, or you can spend your energy adapting to it. That's the key. Most suffering is not created by the event itself. It is created by resistance. Reality happens. Resistance says it shouldn't have happened. Reality presents a challenge. Resistance demands an explanation. Reality moves forward. Resistance stays behind. That is why two people can experience the same setback and walk away completely different. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser. One asks, "Why me?" The other asks, "Now what?" The event is identical. The mindset is completely different. Reality is not your enemy. Resistance is. Repeat those words until they become part of your identity. Reality is not your enemy. Resistance is. Life has never promised fairness. Storms don't choose their victims. Economic downturns don't ask for permission. Illness doesn't care about your plans. Failure doesn't check whether you're ready. Hardship simply arrives. The sooner you accept this truth, the lighter your burden becomes. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is clarity. It is saying, "This is where I am." Only then can you decide where to go next. Imagine trying to swim against a powerful current while screaming that the river should flow in another direction. You will exhaust yourself. The river never changes. Only your strategy can. Life works the same way. Reality is the river. Your response is the strategy. You have a choice. History is filled with people who refuse to waste energy fighting reality. Think about entrepreneurs who lost everything before building successful companies. Most people only see the victory. They never see the bankruptcy. They never see the rejected ideas. They never see the nights filled with uncertainty. Successful entrepreneurs don't expect a smooth journey. They expect problems. Every obstacle becomes another lesson. Every setback becomes another adjustment. Hard is normal. That's the key. Now think about elite athletes. Champions don't complain when training becomes painful. Pain is the training. The exhausted muscles, the repeated failures, the endless practice. They understand something most people forget. Strength is built through resistance. No athlete becomes stronger by avoiding difficulty. No runner becomes faster by refusing hills. No boxer improves by avoiding punches. Hard is normal. Military training follows the same principle. Recruits are intentionally placed into uncomfortable situations. They lose sleep. They carry heavy loads. They face constant pressure. Why? Because battle will never be comfortable. Training prepares them before reality arrives. The obstacle is not the mistake. The obstacle is the preparation. Hard is normal. Notice the pattern. The strongest people do not live easier lives. They simply expect hardship. Expectation changes emotion. If you expect life to be easy, every setback feels like an injustice. If you expect life to challenge you, every setback becomes part of the process. That single shift changes everything. It's not about comfort. It's about preparation. It's not about avoiding struggle. It's about becoming capable. That's the key. Most disappointment comes from unrealistic expectations. People expect perfect careers, perfect relationships, perfect health, perfect timing, perfect success. Then reality arrives, and reality is messy. Reality is uncertain. Reality demands patience. The mentally strong stop demanding perfection. Instead, they prepare for adversity. When problems appear, they don't panic. They adjust. They continue. Because hard is normal. You have a choice. This brings us to the greatest transformation of all. Stop seeing yourself as a victim of life. Start seeing yourself as a student of life. Victims ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Students ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Those are completely different lives. Every disappointment teaches patience. Every rejection teaches resilience. Every failure teaches adjustment. Every difficult conversation teaches courage. Every mistake teaches awareness. If you refuse the lesson, life repeats the class. If you accept the lesson, life allows you to grow. That is why ownership changes everything. Ownership does not mean blaming yourself for every bad event. Ownership means taking responsibility for your response. You cannot control every circumstance. You can always control your next decision. You have a choice. Always. Someone insults you. You have a choice. Someone leaves you. You have a choice. You lose your job. You have a choice. You experience failure. You have a choice. The circumstance belongs to life. The response belongs to you. Never confuse the two. Strong minds focus on what they control. Weak minds obsess over what they cannot. Ask yourself one question whenever hardship arrives. Not, "Why me?" Instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single question transforms suffering into education. It transforms frustration into wisdom. It transforms pain into preparation. That is the mindset that builds resilience. Remember this: every challenge is shaping someone. The only question is whether it is shaping you into someone stronger or someone more resentful. Both outcomes are possible. You decide which one becomes true. Because you always have a choice. You can complain, or you can learn. You can resist, or you can adapt. You can wait for easier circumstances, or you can become stronger than your circumstances. Reality is not your enemy. Resistance is. Hard is normal. You always have a choice. Repeat those principles every day until they become automatic. Because the strongest minds are not built by avoiding hard times. They are built by accepting reality, taking ownership, and moving forward anyway. You have taken the first step. You have stopped asking, "Why me?" Now it is time to discover what hardship is truly revealing about you. In the next chapter, we go even deeper. Chapter 2. Pressure reveals your real character. Anyone can look confident when life is comfortable. Anyone can smile when everything is going according to plan. Anyone can be patient when nothing is testing them. Anyone can speak about courage when there is nothing to fear. Comfort hides weakness. Pressure exposes it. That is why you should never measure your character during easy seasons. Measure it when life becomes difficult. Measure it when your plans collapse. Measure it when someone disappoints you. Measure it when you lose something important. Measure it when nobody is cheering for you. Because that is when the truth appears. Pressure never creates character. It reveals it. Remember those words. Pressure never creates character. It reveals it. Many people spend years building an image instead of building themselves. They learn how to sound confident, how to look successful, how to appear disciplined, how to convince others they have everything under control. But appearances are fragile. The moment real pressure arrives, the performance ends. The mask falls away. The habits take over. The beliefs become visible. The emotions come to the surface. When stress increases, you don't suddenly become someone new. You become more of who you already are. That is why pressure is such an honest teacher. It does not care about your reputation. It does not care about your social media profile. It does not care how intelligent you sound. Pressure asks only one question. Who are you when things stop going your way? You have a choice. You can fear that question, or you can use it. That's the key. Think about a captain flying an airplane through clear skies. Almost anyone can keep the aircraft level when the weather is calm. The real test begins when the storm arrives. Suddenly, every decision matters. Every habit matters. Every hour of training matters. Passengers don't care how confident the pilot sounded yesterday. They care how prepared the pilot is today. Life works exactly the same way. Calm days build comfort. Storms reveal competence. Pressure never creates character. It reveals it. The same is true in relationships. It is easy to be kind when everyone agrees with you. It is easy to be generous when life is abundant. It is easy to remain calm when nobody criticizes you. But what happens when someone insults you? What happens when trust is broken? What happens when expectations are not met? That is where character becomes visible. Not in celebration, in disappointment, not in abundance, in scarcity, not in certainty, in uncertainty. Anyone can claim to value honesty. The truthful person tells the truth when lying would be easier. Anyone can claim to value discipline. The disciplined person continues after motivation disappears. Anyone can claim to value patience. The patient person remains composed while everyone else loses control. Character is never proven by words. It is proven by behavior under pressure. You don't need their permission to become that person. You need your own commitment. Now consider one of nature's greatest lessons. A diamond begins as ordinary carbon. What separates it from every other piece of carbon? Pressure. Not for a few minutes. Not for a few hours. For an extraordinary length of time. The pressure does not destroy it. The pressure transforms it. The same principle exists inside your own life. Every challenge is applying pressure. Every responsibility is applying pressure. Every setback is applying pressure. The question is not whether pressure exists. The question is whether you allow it to shape you. Now think about your muscles. The strongest muscles in the world all share one secret. Resistance. Without resistance, they shrink. Without effort, they weaken. Growth only begins when the muscle is forced beyond what feels comfortable. There is soreness before strength, fatigue before endurance, failure before progress. Your mind follows exactly the same law. Emotional strength grows through emotional resistance. Patience grows through delays. Confidence grows through uncertainty. Courage grows through fear. Discipline grows through repetition. You cannot develop emotional resilience while avoiding emotional discomfort. It's impossible. That's why discomfort is not evidence that something is wrong. Discomfort is evidence that growth has begun. Most people misunderstand this completely. The moment something becomes uncomfortable, they assume they should stop. They quit the project. They abandon the habit. They escape the conversation. They avoid responsibility. They run from pressure. Then they wonder why they never become stronger. Strength has always demanded discomfort. That's the key. Imagine someone entering a gym for the first time. After lifting weights, every muscle aches. An inexperienced person might believe something has gone terribly wrong. An experienced athlete smiles. They know exactly what soreness means. It means the body has received a signal to adapt. Life sends identical signals. Emotional soreness often means your character is adapting. The difficult conversation you avoided for years, the responsibility you finally accepted, the fear you confronted, the habit you refused to quit. None of those experiences feel comfortable, but comfort has never been the goal. Growth is. Pressure never creates character. It reveals it. Now bring this lesson into your ordinary day. Most people imagine resilience is built during dramatic moments. A business collapse, a major illness, a financial disaster. Those moments certainly matter, but resilience is built long before those moments arrive. It is built while sitting in traffic. It is built while waiting in long lines. It is built when someone interrupts you. It is built when technology fails. It is built when your plans suddenly change. Those tiny frustrations seem insignificant. They are not. They are emotional training sessions. Every inconvenience asks the same question. Will you react? Or will you respond? You have a choice. Every delayed flight is another repetition. Every criticism is another repetition. Every mistake is another repetition. Every disappointment is another repetition. Every unexpected obstacle is another repetition. Think about that. Most people waste hundreds of opportunities every single week. They become angry over slow internet. They become impatient in traffic. They complain about weather. They argue over things they cannot control. Meanwhile, mentally strong people are quietly training. Where others see annoyance, they see practice. Where others see inconvenience, they see preparation. Where others see wasted time, they see another chance to strengthen emotional control. Every difficult moment is another repetition. Repeat that until it changes how you see your day. Every difficult moment is another repetition. Not every repetition feels important. One push-up seems insignificant. One page read seems insignificant. One calm response seems insignificant. But thousands of repetitions create extraordinary people. Your emotional life works exactly the same way. Every time you choose patience over anger, you grow. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you grow. Every time you choose responsibility over blame, you grow. Every time you choose calm over panic, you grow. No one may notice. That doesn't matter. Your character notices. Your future notices. Pressure notices. And when life's greatest storms eventually arrive, and they will, you will not suddenly search for strength. You will simply reveal the strength you have been practicing all along. Because pressure never creates character. It reveals it. Every difficult moment is another repetition. Never forget that. You have learned to stop asking, "Why me?" Now you understand that pressure is not your enemy. It is your mirror. In the next chapter, you will discover how to prepare your mind before life's greatest tests ever arrive. Chapter 3. Train your mind. Before life. Tests it. Most people wait until life becomes difficult before they decide to become stronger. They wait for the crisis. They wait for the diagnosis. They wait for the failure. They wait for the heartbreak. They wait until fear has already taken control. By then, they are trying to build strength while standing in the middle of the storm. That is one of the hardest ways to learn. The strongest people choose a different path. They prepare before they are forced to. They build discipline before they need discipline. They build emotional control before emotions explode. They build courage before fear arrives. Preparation defeats panic. Remember those words. Preparation defeats panic. When panic appears, it searches for habits. If good habits exist, they take control. If bad habits exist, they take control instead. Panic never asks whether you are ready. It simply reveals what you have practiced. That's the key. Imagine two people standing in front of the same emergency. One freezes. The other moves with calm precision. The difference is rarely intelligence. The difference is preparation. The calm person has already rehearsed the situation hundreds of times. The frightened person is facing it for the first time. Life rewards preparation far more often than talent. You have a choice. You can hope tomorrow is easier, or you can prepare yourself to handle tomorrow better. Those are completely different strategies. Hope without preparation creates disappointment. Preparation creates confidence. Real confidence is never built from positive thinking alone. It is built from evidence. Evidence comes from repetition. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes evidence. Every disciplined action becomes evidence. Every difficult task completed becomes evidence. Eventually, your mind begins to believe something powerful. I've handled difficult things before. That belief cannot be purchased. It must be earned. Preparation defeats panic. Look at the people we trust during moments of crisis. A surgeon does not begin learning during an operation. A firefighter does not study the equipment after the building catches fire. A pilot does not decide to understand emergency procedures while the aircraft is losing altitude. They prepare long before anyone needs them. Years of ordinary practice create moments of extraordinary performance. People watching from the outside often call it natural talent. It rarely is. It is preparation hidden beneath calm behavior. The same principle applies to your own life. When a financial setback arrives, you fall back on your financial habits. When conflict appears, you fall back on your communication habits. When disappointment strikes, you fall back on your emotional habits. Under pressure, you rarely rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your preparation. That's the key. Preparation is invisible. No one applauds you for waking up early. No one celebrates your consistent routines. No one notices the books you read. No one sees the quiet discipline behind closed doors. But one day, when life becomes difficult, everyone notices the result. They call you calm. They call you resilient. They call you mentally strong. What they do not see are the thousands of ordinary decisions that made that strength possible. Preparation defeats panic. Now think about the military. Before soldiers ever enter combat, they repeat the same drills over and over again. They practice movements until they become automatic. Why? Because fear slows thinking. Stress clouds judgment. But habits remain. When the mind is overwhelmed, the body follows its training. That is why preparation matters. Pilots follow the same principle. Emergency checklists are repeated so often that the actions become instinctive. When something unexpected happens thousands of feet above the ground, there is no time for emotional debate. There is only execution. Emergency responders train exactly the same way. Police officers, paramedics, firefighters. They rehearse difficult situations long before they encounter them in real life. They visualize problems. They simulate pressure. They repeat procedures. Preparation defeats panic. Your emotional life deserves the same level of preparation. Most people spend more time preparing for a vacation than preparing for adversity. They expect conflict to never happen. They expect disappointment to stay away. They expect rejection to avoid them. Then reality surprises them. But life has been making the same promise since the beginning. Difficulty will come. The question has never been whether you will face pressure. The question is whether you're preparing for it today. Visualization is one of the simplest ways to begin. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine someone criticizing you unfairly. What will you do? Will you react immediately? Will you defend your ego? Or will you pause? Will you breathe? Will you respond with clarity instead of emotion? Now imagine losing something important. Imagine facing uncertainty. Imagine receiving unexpected bad news. Mentally rehearse your response, not because you expect disaster, because you expect life. Your mind becomes familiar with situations before they arrive. Fear loses some of its power when it is no longer unfamiliar. That's the key. Preparation is not pessimism. Preparation is confidence. You lock your doors not because you expect crime every night. You wear a seatbelt not because you expect an accident every morning. You save money not because you hope to become poor. Preparation is wisdom. Mental preparation follows exactly the same principle. Build routines that strengthen your mind. Wake up when you promised you would. Exercise even when motivation is absent. Read something that challenges your thinking. Sit quietly for a few minutes without reaching for your phone. Finish what you started yesterday. Each habit appears small. Together, they create stability. Your routines become anchors when life becomes chaotic. The person with no structure is easily shaken. The person with disciplined routines remains steady, not because life became easier, because preparation built resilience. Preparation defeats panic. Now there is one habit that separates mentally strong people from everyone else. They intentionally practice discomfort. This sounds strange to people who spend their lives chasing convenience, but growth has never lived inside comfort. If you always choose the easiest path, your mind slowly becomes weaker. The smallest inconvenience begins to feel unbearable. The smallest obstacle feels enormous. Strength disappears quietly. That is why you must deliberately make your life slightly harder. Wake up when the alarm rings. Take the cold shower. Choose the stairs instead of the elevator. Finish the workout you wanted to skip. Have the difficult conversation you have been avoiding. Speak the uncomfortable truth with kindness. Keep your promises even when nobody is watching. Every one of those actions teaches the same lesson. I can do difficult things. That sentence changes everything. It replaces fear with trust. It replaces hesitation with action. It replaces excuses with responsibility. You don't become mentally tough during one extraordinary event. You become mentally tough through thousands of ordinary decisions. Every cold morning is training. Every disciplined routine is training. Every uncomfortable conversation is training. Every temptation resisted is training. Every promise kept is training. Train when life is calm. Repeat those words. Train when life is calm. Because calm seasons are temporary. Storms eventually arrive for everyone. The people who survive them are not always the smartest. They are not always the strongest. They are usually the best prepared. When adversity finally knocks on your door, do not hope that courage suddenly appears. Build courage today. Build discipline today. Build emotional control today. Train your mind while the skies are still clear. Preparation defeats panic. Train when life is calm. You have stopped asking, "Why me?" You have learned that pressure reveals who you truly are. Now you understand that the strongest minds are built before the battle begins. In the next chapter, you will discover how every painful experience can become one of your greatest teachers. Chapter 4. Make pain your greatest teacher. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain. They run from it. They distract themselves from it. They bury it beneath entertainment, work, noise, or constant activity. They believe that if they can escape discomfort, they will finally find peace. But peace does not come from escaping pain. It comes from understanding it. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers. The problem is that most people refuse to become its student. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. Remember those words. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. Every emotional wound carries a message. Every disappointment contains information. Every failure is trying to teach you something that success never could. The question is not whether pain has something to say. The question is whether you are willing to hear it. You have a choice. You can silence the lesson, or you can learn from it. That's the key. Think about touching a hot stove. Pain immediately tells you something important. Move your hand. Protect yourself. Change your behavior. Without pain, you would continue damaging yourself. Emotional pain works the same way. Loneliness may reveal that you have neglected meaningful relationships. Constant stress may reveal that you have accepted too many responsibilities without healthy boundaries. Repeated disappointment may reveal unrealistic expectations. Jealousy may reveal hidden insecurity. Fear may reveal an area where courage must grow. Pain is not always your enemy. Often, it is your messenger. The mistake is shooting the messenger before reading the message. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. Most people ask the wrong question when they experience failure. They ask, "Why did this happen?" A stronger question is, "What is this trying to show me?" Those two questions produce completely different lives. The first searches for someone to blame. The second searches for wisdom. One creates victims. The other creates leaders. Every failure leaves clues. Every mistake leaves instructions. Every setback offers direction. If you're humble enough to look. Consider a bridge engineer. If a bridge collapses, responsible engineers do not simply rebuild the same structure. They investigate. They examine every weakness, every calculation, every material, every decision. The collapse becomes data. Without that painful investigation, another collapse becomes almost certain. Life follows the same principle. Ignoring failure guarantees repetition. Studying failure creates progress. That's the key. Think back to your own life. How many mistakes have repeated themselves? How many arguments followed the same pattern? How many unhealthy habits kept returning? How many opportunities disappeared for the same reason? Patterns continue until lessons are learned. Life is patient. If necessary, it repeats the same lesson in different forms. Different job. Same insecurity. Different relationship. Same communication problem. Different challenge. Same emotional reaction. Nothing changes until you do. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. History is filled with people whose greatest achievements began with devastating failure. An inventor spends years creating products that never work. Each failed attempt eliminates another wrong answer. Eventually, success arrives. Not because failure disappeared, because failure became instruction. A business owner loses an entire company. Instead of quitting, they study every financial mistake, every hiring decision, every missed opportunity. The next company becomes stronger because the first one existed. An athlete loses championship after championship. Instead of believing defeat defines them, they examine every weakness. They improve their technique, their conditioning, their discipline. The future victory is built from yesterday's disappointment. Failure becomes preparation. Notice the pattern. The successful are not people who never failed. They are people who refused to waste failure. Every setback contains hidden preparation. Sometimes the preparation is practical. Sometimes it is emotional. Sometimes it teaches patience. Sometimes humility. Sometimes resilience. Sometimes gratitude. The lesson is different every time, but there is always a lesson. You have a choice: waste the pain or use the pain. Avoiding pain feels easier in the moment. Ignoring the difficult conversation. Pretending everything is fine. Blaming someone else. Keeping yourself constantly distracted. These choices create temporary comfort. But temporary comfort often creates permanent weakness. Avoiding pain delays wisdom. Imagine breaking a bone and refusing medical treatment because it hurts. The pain doesn't disappear. The damage simply grows worse. Emotional pain works the same way. The conversation you avoid becomes resentment. The fear you ignore becomes limitation. The grief you suppress becomes emotional exhaustion. The insecurity you deny quietly controls your decisions. Avoidance never heals. It postpones healing. That is why courage matters. Not because courage removes pain, because courage allows you to face it. Only what is faced can be transformed. Only what is acknowledged can be healed. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. Listening requires something that many people have forgotten how to do. Reflection. Our world rewards speed. Respond quickly. Move quickly. Decide quickly. React immediately, but wisdom rarely appears in a hurry. Strong minds pause before they move. Learn before you move. Repeat those words. Learn before you move. Reflection creates space between emotion and action. Inside that space lives wisdom. Imagine receiving harsh criticism. Your first emotional reaction might be anger, defensiveness, embarrassment. The impulsive person reacts immediately. The wise person pauses. They ask, "Is there any truth hidden inside these words?" Not because every criticism is accurate, because every experience deserves examination. That pause changes everything. Reflection can become a daily habit. Keep a journal, not because writing itself changes your life, because thinking clearly changes your life. At the end of each day, ask yourself a few honest questions. What challenged me today? How did I respond? What emotion controlled my decisions? What could I have done differently? What lesson must I carry into tomorrow? Simple questions, powerful answers. Over weeks and months, patterns begin to appear. You begin seeing yourself more clearly. That clarity becomes growth. Self-awareness is one of the greatest competitive advantages you can develop. Most people understand everyone except themselves. They can identify other people's weaknesses instantly. Yet they remain blind to their own habits. Reflection removes that blindness. Honest self-evaluation is uncomfortable, but discomfort has always been the price of transformation. It takes humility to admit, "I handled that poorly. I let fear make my decision. I avoided responsibility. I need to improve." Those statements are not signs of weakness. They are signs of strength, because denial protects the ego. Honesty strengthens the character. It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming better. That's the key. Each evening offers another opportunity to grow, not by pretending the day was flawless, but by learning from the day you actually lived. Remember, growth does not happen because time passes. Growth happens because reflection takes place. Years alone do not create wisdom. Attention creates wisdom. Failure alone does not create strength. Learning creates strength. Pain alone does not transform people. Understanding transforms people. Pain speaks. Wise people listen. Learn before you move. Those two principles can change the direction of an entire life. The next time disappointment arrives, resist the urge to escape it. Sit with it. Study it. Question it. Respect it. Because hidden inside today's pain may be tomorrow's strength. You have learned to stop asking, "Why me?" You have discovered that pressure reveals your true character and that preparation defeats panic. Now you understand that pain is not merely something to endure, it is something to learn from. In the next chapter, you will see how every challenge you survive becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. Chapter 5. Build confidence through adversity. Confidence is one of the most misunderstood qualities in the world. Many people believe confidence is something you are born with. Others believe it comes from praise, popularity, appearance, money, or success. They spend years trying to look confident instead of becoming confident. But real confidence cannot be borrowed. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be performed. It must be earned. That is why the strongest confidence is almost always quiet. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need constant approval. It simply knows. That's the key. Confidence is not built by avoiding difficulty. It is built by surviving it. Every obstacle you overcome leaves behind something valuable. Evidence. Evidence that you can endure. Evidence that you can adapt. Evidence that you can recover. Confidence remembers victories. Repeat those words. Confidence remembers victories. Think back to a difficult season you once believed would destroy you. Perhaps it was the loss of a relationship, a financial crisis, a painful rejection, a serious failure, a period of uncertainty. At the time, it felt unbearable. You questioned whether you would ever recover, yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That experience left something inside you. Maybe you did not notice it immediately, but your mind recorded the victory, not because everything worked out perfectly, because you survived. That matters. Your brain is constantly collecting evidence about who you are. Every action becomes another vote. Every decision becomes another piece of proof. When you quit every difficult task, your mind records one message. I cannot handle discomfort. When you avoid every challenge, your mind records another. I need easy circumstances to function. But every time you continue despite fear, every time you keep your promise, every time you endure another difficult day, your mind records something different. I am stronger than I thought. That is where confidence begins. Not in imagination, in evidence. Confidence remembers victories. Many people wait to feel confident before taking action. They tell themselves, I'll start when I believe in myself. But confidence almost never comes first. Action comes first. Then confidence follows. A child does not become confident before learning to walk. The child falls. Again, and again, and again. Each fall teaches balance. Each step becomes evidence. Eventually, walking feels natural. Adults often forget this lesson. They expect confidence before effort. Life has always worked in the opposite direction. Effort creates confidence. Repeated effort creates lasting confidence. You have a choice. wait for confidence, or build it. That's the key. Think about climbing a mountain. Standing at the bottom, the summit seems impossible. If you stare only at the top, doubt grows stronger. But each step changes something. 1 step becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. Eventually, you look back and realize how far you have come. Confidence grows the same way, not from dreaming about the summit, from taking the next step. Every completed step becomes evidence. Every obstacle crossed becomes proof. Every difficult day survived becomes another reason to trust yourself. Confidence remembers victories. Now ask yourself an important question. Who do you trust more? Someone who constantly praises you, or someone who consistently keeps their promises? The answer is obvious. Trust is earned through consistency. The same principle applies to your relationship with yourself. Every promise you make to yourself matters. When you promise to wake up early and then ignore the alarm, you weaken self-trust. When you promise to exercise but repeatedly make excuses, you weaken self-trust. When you promise to stop procrastinating but continue delaying important work, your mind notices. No one else may see it. You do. Your subconscious keeps score. It quietly asks, if I cannot trust my own words, why should I believe my own goals? That question changes everything. Real confidence is impossible without self-trust. Fortunately, self-trust can always be rebuilt. Not through speeches, not through motivation, through action. Keep one promise today, then another tomorrow, then another next week. Each promise honored becomes another brick in the foundation of confidence. The promises do not need to be dramatic. Wake up on time. Finish today's work. Take the walk. Read the chapter. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Tell the truth even when it costs you. Return the phone call you have been avoiding. Small promises. Big consequences. Because your identity is built from repeated behavior. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. That's the key. External praise is pleasant, but it is unreliable. People applaud today. Tomorrow they criticize. One success earns admiration. One mistake attracts judgment. If your confidence depends on applause, it disappears the moment the audience becomes silent. Real confidence grows quietly. It grows in empty rooms, early mornings, late evenings, invisible moments, the workout no one watched, the book no one saw you reading, the temptation you quietly resisted, the apology you chose to make, the discipline nobody applauded. Those moments build something no compliment ever can. Self-respect. When you respect yourself, criticism loses much of its power. Praise becomes enjoyable but unnecessary. Approval becomes welcome but not required. You don't need their permission to believe in yourself. You need your own evidence. Confidence remembers victories. The strongest people rarely spend their time convincing others they are strong. They are too busy becoming stronger. There is a calmness that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. That calmness cannot be faked. It is earned. Now consider how identity is formed. Many people think identity changes overnight. It doesn't. Identity changes one decision at a time. Every challenge asks, who are you becoming? Every response provides the answer. When you repeatedly choose courage over comfort, you become courageous. When you repeatedly choose discipline over excuses, you become disciplined. When you repeatedly choose responsibility over blame, you become responsible. Identity is nothing more than repeated evidence. Small wins matter because they change the story you tell yourself. One completed workout seems insignificant. One honest conversation seems ordinary. One productive morning seems small. But small victories compound. 1 becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. Eventually, your mind stops saying, "I'm trying to become disciplined." Instead, it says, "I am disciplined." That shift is powerful. Behavior becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. Think of a tree. No one notices it growing from one day to the next. Growth is almost invisible. Yet years later, it stands taller than anyone imagined. Confidence grows exactly like that. Quietly, patiently, steadily. Not through dramatic breakthroughs, through ordinary victories repeated over time. That's why you should never underestimate today's effort. Today's discipline becomes tomorrow's confidence. Today's challenge becomes tomorrow's strength. Today's struggle becomes tomorrow's evidence. Every obstacle survived expands your capacity for the next obstacle. The challenge that once terrified you eventually becomes ordinary. Why? Because you changed. Not the challenge. You. You survived before. You'll survive again. Repeat those words whenever fear begins speaking louder than reason. You survived before. You'll survive again. Remember your victories, not to live in the past, but to remind yourself of what you're capable of. The strongest confidence does not come from believing nothing bad will happen. It comes from believing that whatever happens, you will find a way through it. That belief cannot be given to you. It must be built. Obstacle by obstacle. Promise by promise. Day by day. Victory by victory. Confidence remembers victories. You survived before. You'll survive again. Never forget those truths. They are the foundation of an unshakable mind. You have stopped asking, "Why me?" You have learned that pressure reveals your character, preparation defeats panic, and pain is a teacher. Now you have discovered that confidence is not a gift. It is the reward for every challenge you refuse to surrender to. In the next chapter, you will learn how to remain calm when everything around you is falling into chaos. Chapter 6. Master your emotions. During chaos. Chaos has a way of exposing the mind. When everything is calm, almost anyone can think clearly. When everything is predictable, almost anyone can make wise decisions. But when uncertainty arrives, when pressure rises, when fear begins to speak, everything changes. This is where lives are divided. Some people surrender to their emotions. Others learn to lead them. That difference determines careers, relationships, health, leadership, and ultimately, destiny. The world is full of intelligent people whose emotions repeatedly sabotage their potential. It is also full of ordinary people who accomplish extraordinary things because they learned one rare skill. Emotional control. Feel everything. Control everything. Repeat those words. Feel everything. Control everything. Many people misunderstand emotional strength. They imagine emotionally strong people never feel fear, never feel anger, never feel sadness, never feel anxiety. That is not strength. That is fantasy. Strong people feel every emotion that everyone else feels. The difference is simple. They refuse to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. That's the key. An emotion is information. It is not instruction. Fear tells you something feels uncertain. It does not automatically mean you should run. Anger tells you something feels wrong. It does not automatically mean you should attack. Sadness tells you something matters deeply. It does not automatically mean you should give up. Your emotions deserve attention. They do not deserve absolute authority. You have a choice. You can become a servant of your emotions, or you can become their leader. Think about how many lives have been changed by a decision made in a single emotional moment. A marriage ends because someone speaks words they cannot take back. A career disappears because someone loses control during one meeting. A friendship ends because pride refuses to apologize. A financial future is damaged because panic controls an investment decision. One emotional reaction, years of consequences. Now imagine the opposite. One calm decision, one deep breath, one thoughtful response, one moment of patience, years of benefit. That is why emotional control is one of the greatest competitive advantages you will ever develop. The person who remains calm while everyone else is overwhelmed sees opportunities invisible to others. While others panic, they think. While others argue, they observe. While others complain, they adapt. Calm decisions outperform emotional reactions. Always. Because clarity creates better choices. Feel everything. Control everything. Look at the people society trusts during moments of crisis. An emergency room doctor cannot panic because a patient is bleeding. A firefighter cannot freeze because flames are growing. An airline captain cannot become emotional because turbulence suddenly appears. A rescue diver cannot lose focus because visibility disappears underwater. Imagine the consequences if they did. Lives depend on their ability to remain calm. But here's something important. They were not born calm. They trained calm. Preparation became instinct. Discipline became automatic. That means calmness is not a personality trait. It is a skill. Skills can be learned. Skills can be repeated. Skills can become habits. That's the key. Elite athletes understand this principle better than most. Picture a basketball player standing at the free throw line with thousands of people watching. The game depends on 2 shots. The crowd is screaming. The clock is running out. Pressure fills the arena. Yet the best players do something remarkably simple. They breathe. The same routine. The same movement. The same focus. Again and again. Their body enters familiar territory even while chaos surrounds them. The situation changes. The routine remains. That routine protects the mind. Your life needs routines like that, not only during championships, during ordinary Tuesdays, when criticism arrives, when unexpected bills appear, when family conflict begins, when business problems grow. Build routines that return you to clarity. The first routine is breathing. Simple, often ignored, yet incredibly powerful. When fear appears, breathing changes. It becomes shallow, fast, uncontrolled. Your body believes danger is everywhere, but the opposite is also true. When you deliberately slow your breathing, your nervous system begins receiving a different message. We are safe enough to think. One slow breath, then another, then another. Never underestimate something so simple. A single breath has prevented countless terrible decisions. You have a choice. Breathe first, react later. Or better yet, don't react at all. Respond. The second routine is pausing. Our culture rewards speed. Reply immediately. Answer instantly. Defend yourself quickly. Fight back. Win the argument. But wisdom often arrives a few seconds after emotion. Those few seconds change everything. Before responding to criticism, pause. Before sending the angry message, pause. Before making the emotional purchase, pause. Before ending the relationship, pause. The pause creates space. Inside that space lives freedom. Because if emotion controls the first second, awareness can still control the second. That's the key. The third routine is observation. Become curious about your own emotions. Instead of saying, I am angry, try saying, I notice anger. Instead of, I am afraid, Say, I notice fear. The difference seems small. It is enormous. You stop becoming the emotion. You become the observer of the emotion. That single shift gives you power. Clouds move across the sky. The sky remains. Emotions move through the mind. Your awareness remains. Do not confuse yourself with what you feel. Feelings change. Character remains. Calm people understand this. Now comes deliberate response. Notice the word deliberate, not automatic, not impulsive, intentional. Every response should answer one question. What action serves my future, not merely my present emotion? Imagine someone insults you. Your emotions demand immediate revenge. Your future may demand silence. Imagine someone doubts your ability. Your emotions demand an argument. Your future may demand excellent work. Imagine life becomes unfair. Your emotions demand complaints. Your future may demand adaptation. Respond. Never react. Repeat those words. Respond. Never react. There is another distinction that mentally strong people understand. Facts are not feelings. Suppose you fail an important interview. The fact is simple. You did not get the job. Your feelings immediately begin speaking. I'm a failure. I'll never succeed. I'm not good enough. Notice something. Those are not facts. They are interpretations. Facts are temporary. Emotions often exaggerate them. The fact may be that someone criticized your work. The feeling says everyone hates you. The fact may be that one business failed. The feeling says your future is over. Separate facts from feelings. Write them down if necessary. Ask yourself, what actually happened? Then ask, what story am I adding? That practice alone can transform your thinking. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable. That's the key. Storms eventually pass. Every storm. Think about the worst emotional day of your life. It ended. The grief changed. The fear changed. The anger changed. The anxiety changed. Nothing emotional remains exactly the same forever. That truth gives you incredible freedom. You do not have to obey an emotion that is already beginning to fade. Wait. Observe. Breathe. Choose wisely. The emotional storm will not last forever. Your decisions might. Respond. Never react. Imagine standing beside the ocean. Massive waves crash against the shore. If you mistake yourself for the wave, every emotion feels overwhelming. But you're not the wave. You are the ocean. Waves rise. Waves fall. The ocean remains. Build your identity on something deeper than today's emotion. Build it on discipline, on values, on character, on truth. Not on feelings that change with every circumstance. The strongest minds do not eliminate emotion. They master it. They laugh deeply, love completely, grieve honestly, celebrate fully. But through every season, they remain in command of themselves. That is real strength. That is emotional freedom. Feel everything. Control everything. Respond. Never react. Carry those principles into every difficult conversation, every unexpected setback, every stressful day, and every uncertain season. Because the person who masters emotions during chaos becomes the person others trust when chaos arrives. You have learned to stop asking, "Why me?" You have discovered that pressure reveals character. Preparation defeats panic. Pain teaches wisdom, and confidence is earned through adversity. Now you know that true strength is not found in controlling the world around you, but in controlling yourself within it. In the next chapter, you will discover how to keep moving forward long after motivation has disappeared. Chapter 7. Keep Moving Zen. Motivation disappears. Motivation is a beautiful feeling. It fills you with energy. It convinces you that today is the day everything changes. You wake up early. You make plans. You write goals. You promise yourself that this time will be different. For a while, it feels effortless. Then something changes. The excitement fades. The alarm clock feels heavier. The work becomes repetitive. Progress slows. Results become invisible. Suddenly, the same person who felt unstoppable begins asking a dangerous question. What happened to my motivation? Nothing happened. You simply reached the point where everyone is tested. The beginning is exciting. The middle is ordinary. The finish belongs to the disciplined. That is why so many dreams disappear. Not because people lacked talent. Not because they lacked opportunity. Because they depended on a feeling that was never designed to last. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline finishes it. Action comes first. Repeat those words. Action comes first. Most people believe action follows motivation. Life teaches the opposite. Action creates motivation. Think about the mornings when you did not want to exercise. The hardest part was putting on your shoes. Once you started moving, your energy changed. Think about the book you didn't feel like reading. The first page felt difficult. 10 pages later, your focus returned. Think about the project you kept delaying. Beginning was painful. Continuing became easier. Movement creates momentum. Stillness creates excuses. That's the key. You have a choice. Wait until you feel ready. Or begin before you feel ready. One path leads to endless waiting. The other leads to growth. Life rewards the second path. Difficult seasons have a way of stealing excitement. That is normal. There will be days when your work feels meaningless. Days when no one notices your effort. Days when progress seems invisible. Days when quitting appears reasonable. Those days do not mean you are failing. They mean you are training. Every meaningful goal eventually becomes repetitive. The musician practices scales. The writer writes another page. The athlete completes another workout. The entrepreneur solves another problem. Greatness is hidden inside ordinary repetition, not dramatic breakthroughs. Ordinary repetition. Action comes first. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. The first morning after planting, the field looks exactly the same. The second morning, nothing appears different. A week passes. Still nothing. Should the farmer stop watering the soil because visible progress has not appeared? Of course not. The growth is happening underground. Roots develop before fruit appears. Your character develops the same way. Many of your greatest improvements remain invisible long before they become obvious. Patience is not passive. Patience is disciplined action without immediate reward. That's the key. Now consider the power of consistency. People admire intensity because it is exciting. Working 16 hours in one day. Running a marathon. Reading an entire book overnight. Making dramatic changes all at once. These moments look impressive. But impressive moments rarely build extraordinary lives. Ordinary consistency does. One workout every day beats one exhausting workout every month. One chapter every evening beats reading 5 books in one weekend and never opening another. One honest conversation each week strengthens a relationship more than one grand apology after years of neglect. Small actions repeated long enough become unstoppable forces. Every small action compounds. Imagine placing a single brick on the ground. It seems meaningless. Place another tomorrow, then another. Continue for years. Eventually, you have built a house. Nobody admires the first brick. Everyone admires the finished home. Success follows the same principle. People notice the result. They rarely notice the thousands of ordinary actions that created it. You don't need dramatic improvement today. You need another brick, another page, another workout, another disciplined decision, another promise kept, another step. That's how strong minds are built. Most people underestimate the power of one day. They say, "It doesn't matter if I skip today." Perhaps they are right. One skipped day rarely changes a life, but habits are never built from one day. They are built from repeated decisions. Every day teaches your brain what kind of person you are becoming. Skip often enough, and quitting becomes familiar. Continue often enough, and discipline becomes automatic. Identity grows through repetition. That's why today's choices matter so much. Not because today is extraordinary, because today is ordinary. And ordinary days create extraordinary lives. Action comes first. Now think about water flowing through a canyon. Water appears soft, gentle, weak. Rock appears solid, unbreakable. Yet over enough time, water reshapes stone, not through power, through persistence. Your daily habits work exactly the same way. Tiny actions seem insignificant, until months become years. Then the impossible becomes inevitable. Persistence always defeats occasional intensity. The people who quietly continue often surpass those who begin with explosive enthusiasm. Because enthusiasm fades, persistence remains. You have a choice. Become addicted to excitement, or become committed to consistency. Only one creates lasting results. There will always be mornings when you don't feel like working. That feeling is temporary. Your decision is permanent. The strongest people have learned something simple. Mood is a poor leader. Imagine allowing your emotions to decide everything. I'll only work when I feel inspired. I'll only exercise when I feel energetic. I'll only forgive when I feel generous. I'll only save money when it feels easy. Life quickly falls apart. Feelings change too often to become your foundation. Character must become your foundation instead. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. That's the key. Finish today's work. Not tomorrow's, not next month's. Today's. Many people quit because they focus on everything they still have left to accomplish. The mountain appears overwhelming. The journey feels impossible. Strong minds ask a different question. What is today's responsibility? Nothing more. Nothing less. Complete today's responsibility. Then repeat tomorrow. Large achievements are simply small responsibilities completed consistently. Do not underestimate finishing. Starting receives applause. Finishing changes lives. Anyone can become excited by a new beginning. Very few people remain faithful during the long middle. Even fewer finish. That is why finishing has become a competitive advantage. Success belongs to people who continue. Not the fastest, not the loudest, not even the most talented. The people who continue. Think about every successful person you admire. Eventually, they reached a moment when quitting would have been easier. The business wasn't growing. The audience wasn't watching. The training wasn't producing visible results. The criticism became exhausting. The failures accumulated. Yet they continued. Not because they always felt inspired, because they made continuing part of their identity. Keep walking. Repeat those words. Keep walking. When progress feels invisible, keep walking. When motivation disappears, keep walking. When others doubt you, keep walking. When you doubt yourself, keep walking. One more page, one more phone call, one more workout, one more application, one more attempt, one more disciplined choice. Every step matters. Every step strengthens you. Every step proves something important. I do not stop because the work became difficult. That belief transforms a person. Remember, rivers reach the ocean not because they rush. They arrive because they never stop flowing. The sun rises every morning without applause. The seasons change without recognition. Nature understands consistency better than most people ever will. Learn from it. Become reliable. Become steady. Become the kind of person who works whether anyone is watching or not. The world rewards people it can depend on. More importantly, you begin depending on yourself. That is where true strength lives. Action comes first. Keep walking. Success belongs to people who continue. Carry those words with you every morning when excitement is absent and discipline is required. Because hard times do not ask whether you feel motivated. They ask whether you will keep moving anyway. You have stopped asking, "Why me?" You have learned that pressure reveals character. Preparation defeats panic. Pain teaches wisdom. Confidence is earned through adversity, and emotional control creates clarity. Now you understand that lasting success is not built on temporary motivation, but on relentless persistence. In the next chapter, you will discover how every setback can become another source of strength instead of another reason to quit. Chapter 8. Turn every setback into strength. Everyone fails. That is not the question. The question is, what happens next? Do you allow failure to become your identity, or do you allow it to become your education? That single decision separates people who stay stuck from people who become unstoppable. Failure is an event. Quitting is a decision. Never confuse the two. You can fail 100 times and still succeed. But the moment you quit learning, quit adapting, and quit moving forward, failure becomes permanent. That's the key. Many people believe their biggest mistake was failing. It wasn't. Their biggest mistake was deciding that failure meant the story was over. It never was. The story only ends when you stop writing it. You have a choice. Treat every setback as a wall, or treat it as a staircase. The obstacle stays the same. Your perspective changes everything. Nothing is wasted. Repeat those words. Nothing is wasted. Think back over your own life. There are probably moments you once wished had never happened. The job you lost, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that disappeared, the dream that collapsed. At the time, those experiences felt meaningless, cruel even. But years later, many people discover something surprising. That painful chapter redirected them toward a better one. The rejection forced them to develop new skills. The failure humbled them enough to listen. The disappointment gave them wisdom they could not have gained any other way. Life often reveals its purpose backward, not forward. That is why patience matters. Some lessons only make sense after enough time has passed. Nothing is wasted. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it appears as though the sculptor is destroying the stone. Piece after piece falls to the ground. Dust fills the air. Large sections disappear, but the sculptor sees something different. Every piece removed reveals the masterpiece hidden inside. Life often works the same way. Sometimes it removes relationships. Sometimes it removes comfort. Sometimes it removes certainty. Sometimes it removes pride. Not to punish you, to reveal a stronger version of yourself. What feels like loss today may actually be preparation. That's the key. History repeatedly proves this principle. Many of the world's most successful people experienced devastating failures before achieving extraordinary success. An inventor creates hundreds of unsuccessful prototypes before discovering one that finally works. Those early attempts are not meaningless. Each one eliminates another wrong direction. Each mistake provides valuable information. A business founder watches a company collapse after years of effort. Instead of assuming they are incapable, they study every decision. They examine leadership, finances, communication, timing. Their second company succeeds because the first company taught them lessons no classroom ever could. An athlete loses championship after championship. Every defeat exposes another weakness. Technique improves. Discipline increases. Humility grows. Eventually, the very failures that caused so much pain become the foundation of victory. Notice the pattern. The successful do not possess fewer setbacks. They extract more value from them. Every defeat offers information. Every disappointment carries instruction. Every mistake points toward improvement. The question is whether your pride allows you to receive the lesson. You have a choice. Protect your ego, or improve your future. Only one of those choices creates growth. Many people waste years asking, "Why did this happen?" A better question is, "What must change because this happened?" That question shifts your attention away from blame and toward responsibility. Blame keeps you trapped in yesterday. Responsibility builds tomorrow. That's the key. There is another truth that mentally strong people understand. Success rarely follows a straight line. Most people imagine progress as a smooth climb upward. Real life looks different. It twists. It falls. It pauses. It accelerates. It surprises you. If you expect a perfect journey, every setback feels like proof you're on the wrong path. But setbacks are often evidence that you are moving. Only people attempting meaningful things experience meaningful failures. Nobody fails at dreams they never pursue. Nobody experiences rejection while hiding from opportunity. Failure often proves that you were courageous enough to try. Respect that. Then continue. Nothing is wasted. Now think about nature. A river never argues with a mountain. It simply changes direction. If a massive rock blocks its path, the river does not stop flowing. It flows around it. Over time, it even reshapes the rock itself. That is resilience, not refusing to change, refusing to stop. People often mistake resilience for stubbornness. They are not the same. Stubborn people repeat the same mistake while expecting a different outcome. Resilient people adjust. They remain committed to the goal while remaining flexible about the method. That distinction changes everything. Imagine trying to unlock a door. The first key doesn't work. Would you throw away the entire key ring? Of course not. You simply try another key. Yet many people abandon lifelong dreams after one unsuccessful attempt, one interview, one rejection, one criticism, one disappointment. As though one locked door proves the building contains no entrance. It doesn't. It simply means that approach wasn't the right one. Adapt. That's the key. The strongest minds are flexible, not weak. Flexible. A tree standing rigid during a violent storm is more likely to snap. A tree that bends often survives. Its flexibility becomes its strength. Human beings are no different. When circumstances change, adjust. When information changes, learn. When plans fail, improve them. Do not confuse changing your strategy with abandoning your purpose. Your purpose can remain constant while your methods evolve. That is wisdom. The world changes constantly. Technology changes. Industries change. Relationships change. Opportunities change. The people who thrive are not those who resist every change. They are the ones who adapt without losing themselves. Flexible minds outperform rigid ones. Always. Ask yourself after every setback, what worked? What didn't work? What should I repeat? What should I change? Those 4 questions transform failure into progress. Reflection creates adjustment. Adjustment creates improvement. Improvement creates confidence. Confidence creates resilience. Everything is connected. You don't need perfection. You need progress. You don't need guarantees. You need willingness. You don't need life to become predictable. You need to become adaptable. That's the key. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet carry invisible scars, not because life was gentle with them, because life wasn't. They lost. They failed. They grieved. They started over, again and again. Eventually, they stopped asking for easier circumstances. They became stronger people. That transformation is available to anyone, including you. Every setback becomes another opportunity to strengthen your judgment, your patience, your humility, your courage, your discipline. Nothing is wasted. The next time life closes a door, do not stand there forever staring at it. Learn why it closed. Look for another entrance. Build a better key, or build an entirely different house. Progress belongs to those who continue adapting. Remember this sequence. Adapt, learn, continue. Repeat it every time life surprises you. Adapt, learn, continue. Every challenge demands adaptation. Every lesson demands humility. Every tomorrow demands another step forward. Because resilience is not built by avoiding change. It is built by responding wisely to change. The strongest people are not those who never fall. They are those who become more capable every time they stand up again. Nothing is wasted. Adapt. Learn. Continue. Carry those words into every future disappointment, every unexpected obstacle, and every season of uncertainty. Because one day you will look back and realize that the setbacks you once feared became the very foundation of your greatest strength. You have learned to stop asking, "Why me?" You have discovered that pressure reveals character, preparation defeats panic, pain teaches wisdom, confidence is earned, emotional control creates clarity, and discipline carries you beyond motivation. Now you understand that no setback has the power to define you unless you refuse to learn from it. In the next chapter, you will discover why the challenges you face today are expanding your capacity for the opportunities waiting tomorrow. Chapter 9. Become strong enough to handle bigger dreams. Most people dream about bigger opportunities, a better career, a stronger business, greater financial freedom, a healthier relationship, a larger purpose. There is nothing wrong with dreaming bigger. The problem is that many people focus only on receiving more. Very few focus on becoming more. Life rarely gives lasting success to people who are not prepared to carry it. A bigger life requires bigger shoulders. A greater opportunity requires greater character. A larger mission requires greater discipline. Before life expands your circumstances, it usually expands your capacity. That is why difficult seasons often come before meaningful breakthroughs. Grow before you receive. Repeat those words. Grow before you receive. Imagine pouring 10 gallons of water into a 1-gallon bucket. The water is valuable. The bucket is simply too small. Nothing is wrong with the water. The container lacks the capacity. Many people ask for greater success while refusing to become a greater person. They ask for more responsibility while avoiding today's responsibilities. They ask for influence while struggling to influence themselves. They ask for abundance while wasting what they already have. Life quietly asks one question: can you carry what you are asking for? That's the key. Success is not only about opportunity, it is about capacity. You have a choice: spend your life chasing opportunities, or spend your life becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts and sustains them. The second path always lasts longer. Every promotion brings more pressure. Every leadership role brings more criticism. Every successful business creates more problems to solve. Every meaningful relationship demands more patience. Every dream fulfilled introduces new responsibilities. That is why emotional capacity matters more than external achievement. Without emotional strength, success becomes overwhelming. Without discipline, freedom becomes chaos. Without wisdom, influence becomes dangerous. Without character, achievement becomes temporary. Grow before you receive. Look around at people who rise quickly and then collapse just as fast. Often, the opportunity wasn't the problem. The person wasn't ready. Money exposed poor financial habits. Influence exposed pride. Power exposed insecurity. Recognition exposed the need for constant approval. Success magnifies whatever already exists inside you. If discipline exists, success expands it. If fear exists, success exposes it. Pressure never creates character. It reveals it. You learned that earlier. Now take the lesson one step further. Greater success creates greater pressure. If you cannot remain calm with today's responsibilities, tomorrow's opportunities will feel unbearable. That is why preparation never ends. Growth never ends. Learning never ends. You do not become strong once. You continue becoming stronger. That's the key. Think about a bridge crossing a wide river. Engineers do not guess how much weight it can hold. They test it. They strengthen it. They prepare it for loads heavier than normal. Why? Because one day the pressure will come. Life prepares you in the same way. Every challenge adds another beam. Every disappointment strengthens another support. Every difficult season reinforces another part of your foundation. You may believe life is delaying you. Perhaps it is preparing you. Grow before you receive. Adversity has another gift. It develops leadership. Many people believe leadership begins when people start following them. Real leadership begins much earlier. It begins when you learn to lead yourself. Can you manage your emotions? Can you keep your promises? Can you remain honest when dishonesty would be easier? Can you continue working when no one is watching? If you cannot lead yourself, no title will make you a leader. The strongest leaders are rarely those who have experienced the least hardship. They are often the ones who have endured the most while refusing to become bitter. Adversity teaches compassion, because you remember what struggle feels like. It teaches patience, because you understand that growth takes time. It teaches humility, because you know how easily success can disappear. It teaches courage, because you have already survived difficult seasons. Responsibility follows resilience. People naturally trust those who remain steady during uncertainty. When everyone else panics, calm people become leaders. When everyone else complains, disciplined people become examples. When everyone else quits, persistent people become the standard. Leadership is not demanded. It is earned. And hardship is often the classroom where leadership is developed. Think about the mentors, teachers, coaches, and parents who influenced your life. Chances are they did not become wise through comfort alone. Wisdom usually carries scars, not visible scars, invisible ones, the scars of disappointment, failure, loss, sacrifice, perseverance. Those experiences gave them something valuable to offer others. Your present struggle may become someone else's future guidance. Never underestimate that possibility. Nothing you learn through hardship belongs only to you. One day, it may become exactly what another person needs. That's the key. Responsibility always follows resilience. The stronger you become, the more people begin depending on you. Your family, your friends, your team, your community. That responsibility should not frighten you. It should inspire you to continue growing, because every improvement you make expands your ability to help others. Now imagine lifting weights. The first time you pick up a heavy barbell, it feels impossible. Your muscles shake. Your breathing changes. Your confidence disappears. But after weeks of training, the same weight becomes manageable. Not because the weight became lighter, because you became stronger. Life follows exactly the same principle. Today's challenge feels overwhelming because it matches today's capacity. Tomorrow's capacity will be different. Provided you continue training, capacity expands through experience. Every difficult conversation increases emotional capacity. Every responsibility increases leadership capacity. Every disappointment increases resilience. Every setback increases wisdom. Growth always costs something. Usually comfort, sometimes pride, occasionally certainty. But the investment always produces strength. Many people avoid difficult experiences because they fear discomfort. Ironically, those very experiences are expanding the capacity they have been praying for. You have a choice. Run from bigger challenges, or welcome them. Not because suffering is enjoyable, because growth is valuable. When a difficult assignment appears at work, do not immediately think, "Why me?" Think, "What is this preparing me for?" When life asks more of you than yesterday, recognize the invitation. Life is increasing your capacity. Accept it. The future demands a stronger you. Repeat those words. The future demands a stronger you. Not a more comfortable you. Not a more popular you. Not a luckier you. A stronger you. Think about the person you hope to become 5 years from now. Would that future version of you think differently? Absolutely. Would they manage emotions more effectively? Yes. Would they communicate more wisely? Almost certainly. Would they carry greater responsibility with greater confidence? Without question. That future person is not created by wishing. That future person is created by today's challenges. Every obstacle is quietly introducing you to the person you are becoming. Do not reject the introduction. Embrace it. Remember how far you have already come. There were challenges you once believed you could never survive. Now they are memories. There were responsibilities that once seemed impossible. Now they are routine. There were fears that once controlled your decisions. Now they barely slow your progress. Why? Because your capacity expanded. The same process continues. Never believe you have reached your limit. Most limits are temporary. Character grows. Wisdom grows. Patience grows. Leadership grows. Resilience grows. As long as you remain willing to learn. Grow before you receive. Responsibility follows resilience. The future demands a stronger you. Carry those principles into every new opportunity and every greater challenge, because the life you desire is already moving toward you. The only question is whether you are becoming the person capable of carrying it. You have stopped asking, "Why me?" You have learned that pressure reveals character. Preparation defeats panic. Pain teaches wisdom. Confidence is earned. Emotional control creates clarity. Discipline outlasts motivation, and setbacks become stepping stones. Now you understand that every hardship has been expanding your capacity for a greater future. In the final chapter, you will bring every lesson together and become the person that hard times can no longer break. Chapter 10. Become the person hard times cannot break. You have reached the final chapter. But this is not the end. It is the beginning of a new identity. Everything you have heard throughout this audiobook has been leading to one simple truth. Hard times do not define people. Identity does. Circumstances change. Economies rise and fall. Relationships begin and end. Health improves and declines. Opportunities appear and disappear. But the person you become determines how you move through every one of those seasons. That is why this book was never about surviving difficult times. It was about becoming someone difficult times cannot defeat. There is an enormous difference. One person asks, "How do I survive this?" Another person says, "This is building someone stronger." The challenge is identical. The identity is completely different. That's the key. From this day forward, stop identifying yourself by what has happened to you. You are not your failures. You are not your losses. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not the opinions other people formed about you during your weakest moments. Those are experiences. They are not your identity. Your identity is built by your repeated response to those experiences. Every time you chose courage over comfort, you became more courageous. Every time you chose responsibility over blame, you became more responsible. Every time you chose discipline over excuses, you became more disciplined. Every time you stood back up after life knocked you down, you became more resilient. Identity is not declared. It is demonstrated. Day after day. Decision after decision. That's the person you are becoming. I do not break. I adapt. Repeat those words. I do not break. I adapt. Think back to where this journey began. You learned to stop asking, "Why me?" Because reality is not your enemy. Resistance is. Then you discovered that pressure never creates character. It reveals it. You learned that preparation defeats panic, that pain speaks, and wise people listen, that confidence remembers victories, that calm decisions outperform emotional reactions, that discipline continues long after motivation disappears, that setbacks become stepping stones, that greater opportunities require greater capacity. None of these lessons stand alone. Together, they create a completely different human being, not someone with fewer problems, someone with greater strength. That's the transformation. Many people spend their entire lives hoping life becomes easier. They wait for perfect circumstances, perfect timing, perfect people, perfect opportunities. But perfection never arrives. Life remains unpredictable. Unexpected problems continue appearing. The weather changes. Markets change. People change. Plans change. The mentally strong stop asking life to become predictable. Instead, they become adaptable. That shift changes everything. Imagine two ships entering the same violent storm. One captain spent years studying navigation, practicing emergency procedures, maintaining the vessel, preparing the crew. The other captain assumed calm seas would last forever. When the storm arrives, both ships face the same waves. But only one is prepared. The storm is not unfair. The storm simply reveals preparation. Life does exactly the same thing. You cannot control every storm. You can become the kind of captain who knows how to sail through one. I do not break. I adapt. That sentence is no longer motivation. It is identity. Mental toughness is often misunderstood. People imagine it appears during one extraordinary moment, one dramatic victory, one heroic decision, one impossible challenge. Reality is far less exciting and far more powerful. Mental toughness is built while making your bed when you don't feel like it. It is built while finishing today's work after a long day. It is built while telling the truth when lying would be easier. It is built while remaining calm during a difficult conversation. It is built while waking up after another disappointment and choosing to try again. Nobody applauds those moments. Most people never even notice them. But those moments quietly shape your future. One ordinary decision seems insignificant. 1,000 ordinary decisions create an extraordinary person. That's the key. Every difficult day strengthens identity. Think about a blacksmith forging steel. The metal enters the fire again and again. Each time it is heated, shaped, and cooled. From the outside, it appears repetitive, almost boring. Yet every cycle increases its strength. Remove the fire too early, and the steel remains weak. Life has been forging you the same way. Every challenge has been another strike of the hammer. Every disappointment, another moment in the fire. Every recovery, another stage of strengthening. You are not being destroyed. You are being refined. Remember that the next time life feels heavy. Growth is often uncomfortable because transformation always requires change. You have a choice. Resist the process or trust it. Only one leads to strength. Many people ask, when will life finally stop testing me? The honest answer is simple. Probably never. But eventually, that question disappears. Not because the tests disappear, because you change. There comes a point where challenges no longer frighten you the way they once did. You stop seeing obstacles as evidence that something is wrong. You begin seeing them as opportunities to practice who you have become. Traffic becomes patience training. Criticism becomes humility training. Failure becomes wisdom training. Responsibility becomes leadership training. Uncertainty becomes courage training. Everything becomes training. Nothing is wasted. Imagine living that way. Imagine waking up every morning without demanding comfort, without demanding certainty, without demanding guarantees. Instead asking, who will I become today? That single question creates an entirely different life. Strong minds focus on growth. Weak minds focus on convenience. One expands. The other shrinks. Choose expansion. Every day. You don't need their permission to become stronger. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need everyone's approval. You need one decision. Repeat it again tomorrow. Then again the next day. And the next. Identity is never built in a single moment. It is built through consistency. There will still be mornings when you feel tired. There will still be setbacks. There will still be disappointment. There will still be uncertainty. Strength does not eliminate those realities. Strength changes how you meet them. The person you are today is already different from the person who began this audiobook. Not because life changed, because your perspective changed. Perspective changes decisions. Decisions change habits. Habits change identity. Identity changes destiny. That is the chain. Protect it. Live it. Repeat it. Now remember the central truth that connects every chapter of this journey. Hard times are temporary. Strong minds are permanent. Hardship eventually passes. Storms move on. Pain softens. Loss becomes memory. Fear loses its voice. But the strength you build while enduring those moments remains. It becomes part of you. No one can take it away. No recession can steal it. No criticism can erase it. No disappointment can destroy it. Because it lives inside your character. Every struggle is preparing your future. You may not understand today's hardship. You may not see its purpose immediately. That is normal. Seeds grow underground long before they break through the surface. Preparation is often invisible, Transformation is often quiet. Trust the process anyway. Continue anyway. Learn anyway. Grow anyway. Because one day you will stand in front of a challenge that once would have overwhelmed you, and you will smile. Not because the challenge became smaller, because you became stronger. That is the reward. Adversity is no longer something to fear. It is no longer something to escape. It is no longer something to merely survive. It has become something you use. You use pressure to strengthen character. You use pain to gain wisdom. You use setbacks to improve. You use criticism to refine yourself. You use discipline to create freedom. You use uncertainty to build courage. Nothing is wasted. Everything serves your growth. Carry that philosophy into every season of your life. When success arrives, remain humble. When failure arrives, remain teachable. When uncertainty arrives, remain calm. When opportunity arrives, remain prepared. When hardship arrives, remain steady. Because you know something that many people never learn. Life is not happening to you. It is shaping you. And now you know how to shape yourself. Stand taller. Think clearly. Choose wisely. Keep your promises. Master your emotions. Protect your discipline. Welcome responsibility. Continue learning. Continue adapting. Continue becoming. Say these words one final time. I do not break. I adapt. Hard times are temporary. Strong minds are permanent. Every struggle is preparing my future. Let those words become more than a mantra. Let them become your identity. Because from this day forward, you are no longer waiting for an easier life. You're becoming the kind of person who can handle any life. And that is a strength no hardship can ever take away. Hard times will come. They always do. But now you know something most people never learn. Your greatest struggles are not interruptions to your life. They are the training ground for the person you are becoming. Every difficult morning, every painful setback, every rejection, every disappointment has given you another opportunity to become stronger, calmer, wiser, and more disciplined. Remember these words. Pressure reveals you. Pain teaches you. Discipline carries you. Consistency transforms you. Stop waiting for life to become easier. Become stronger instead. The next challenge you face is not your enemy. It is your next teacher. So when life tests you again, and it will, stand taller, breathe deeper, stay calmer, and keep moving forward. Because hard times build strong minds, and from this day forward, let your identity be simple. I do not break. I adapt. I endure. I become stronger. If this audiobook changed the way you see adversity, carry these lessons into your daily life, return to them often, and continue building the strongest mind you've ever had.